Welcome back to another episode of our Message Recap, the show where we recap the messages that we give here on Sundays at Access Church.
Yep.
And this week was the second week of our series, Preventative Maintenance. We talked about getting tranny flushes in your car at Victory Lane.
Victory Lane.
Quick oil change and car wash. Just kidding.
Oh my God.
We talked about marriage maintenance this week.
Yep.
And I thought it was a fantastic message. Basically, the whole premise we've already gone over of this series is we think that preventative maintenance does not...
Hey, Ross.
Hey, Ross is here.
Hey, Ross.
Kevin's son Ross is here, so if you hear any noise in the background,
It's him.
it's Ross. Anyway, so preventative maintenance, we tend to think it doesn't matter in our lives where like we bring up Victory Lane as an example, but we go in for an oil change when we need a tranny flush, but all we want is an oil change and then our tranny dies and we just take care of it then. So
And then we call Victory Lane and blame them.
Blame them.
yeah.
Not that you've had any personal
No.
experience with that.
So we think that preventative maintenance doesn't matter, but the question you asked at the beginning of the series is what if it does?
Yep.
And this week we talked about marriage and what if preventative maintenance matters in our marriages.
Can I back up just a hair?
You can.
Yep.
The asking what if it does, it has to be preceded by the main reason we don't is because we really kind of deep down think it doesn't matter. We really do. We kind of live our life with, oh yeah, good advice, but it doesn't really matter. Oh, great suggestion, but I don't have to. It doesn't really make a difference. This whole series, which I think is fantastic, because what if it does matter? What if it does make a difference? Then why aren't we doing it? You know? And so nobody wakes up in the morning. I just heard somebody say this morning. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, gosh, I just really want a miserable life. Wow, I want miserable relationships. My goal is to have a miserable marriage.
Can't wait for the misery of today.
Nobody wants a miserable marriage, but yet we don't do preventative maintenance because you know what? Deep down inside, and you're absolutely right, there's this feeling we have, and if we were asked to probably really say it, we wouldn't, but we feel like, whatever I do doesn't really matter. Wow. What if it really does matter? And we're proving it does.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was about marriage.
Well, and the difference between preventative maintenance in our lives and preventative maintenance in our vehicles, we've talked about, you can pay $100 to get a tranny flush, or you can pay $3,000 when your tranny dies. Okay. You can go that route, but you can do preventative maintenance in your marriage.
Yep.
Or if you don't, it might be a little too late when your spouse is handing you divorce papers.
With a car, money can fix it.
Yeah.
With our life, money rarely can fix it.
So to recap this week, this is what I got out of it. Okay. Preventative maintenance. We can break it down into 3 points for our marriages.
Okay.
All right. Wives, submit to your husbands. Oh boy. Husbands, love your wives. And the both of you have lots of sex together. Boom. There you go.
Amen. There you go.
Marriage is saved.
Solved. Well, we'll see you
Thanks
next
for
week.
joining us. No, go ahead. Expound on that.
Yeah. That really, from God's perspective, that really is it. And I think unfortunately in culture, we've got bad definitions of both those.
Yeah.
And bad examples of both of those. And so we just push back against that,
The area of focus is wrong as well.
What do you mean the area of...
You brought it up where it's when it's addressed to wives,
husbands
are the ones paying attention to it.
Yeah.
And when it's addressed to husbands, wives are the ones paying. Where that's where
that ain't for you.
If you are not a wife, you pointed this out.
Yep.
Stop reading what comes after wives.
Yeah.
If you are not a husband,
Yep.
stop reading what comes after husband.
Yep. And both those things, because we read each other's mail, because there's so many bad examples, because people have done it wrong for I'm not even sure. I think we think it doesn't matter for sure, but there's almost this sense in culture right now that that's wrong even. Like, wait a minute. Like this gender equality, like I shouldn't have to submit to my husband. That seems...
I shouldn't have to love my wife if she's not respecting me, right?
Yeah, or like, hey, if you don't deserve it, I don't have to do it, sort of
Yeah.
thing. And I
You
mean,
scratch my back, I'll scratch
we
yours.
can go that way if you want, but
not a good
we'll
way to
end
go.
up with the results we have. And
Yep.
I don't you want better than 50% shot?
You'll end up with a busted tranny.
Yep.
That money won't fix.
Yep.
Money can't fix.
It's just a principle of God's creation. It's a principle of order. It's a principle of I created men and women differently. I created them for different purposes.
Yeah.
Which, unfortunately, just because our world says it's wrong, we got to understand that our whole world doesn't believe in God. Our whole world, and it really goes back, I'm not going to give a whole history lesson, but it goes back to mankind rebelling against God and say, I am going to decide right from wrong. I am not going to listen to you. And there's an outcome for that. And like you just said, hey, look at the last 30 years when these movements have really been taking place.
Yeah.
Do you think that families have been getting better or worse? Do you think society's been getting better or worse? Do you think how we handle our problems is better or worse? What I see is there's more and more we disregard what God says as his principles for marriage and the home, the more and more chaos we will have. And to be honest with you and blunt, what do we expect? And I know this whole series is getting us to kind of lean into, well, what if God is right? And I know from my own experience, and not everybody has to believe this, but I've tested God enough to know he is right. I mean, for me, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And I think anyone with an open mind that will really look at the principles of God will find that God is right. As a matter of fact, the more science teaches us, the more we discover it's just backing up what God said a whole lot. Relationships and our emotions, all this stuff. When science discovers things about the human psyche, they're just explaining what God said long ago. He just didn't say the why, but he said this will happen. We're discovering it. Marriage, it couldn't be more plain. I think he made it pretty clear. There's not a lot of instruction. These two are enough. You know, that, hey, this whole, love and submit is enough. And I like the idea of not reading the other person's mail. Listen, I'm not a wife. God's not talking to me. I don't care what he tells my wife to do. Okay, if I believe in God and I believe everything he says is true, God, what are you telling me? Then that's what I'm going to, that's what I'm going to submit to. That's what I'm going to follow.
It is not my responsibility to make sure my wife is fulfilling what is being
Does
told of
her
her
job
to do.
first.
Yeah.
Now, I do
Well,
know.
did you submit to me today? Well, sorry, no love for you.
You threw some great disclaimers in at the very beginning.
Healthy
But
marriage.
I think we do need to know that very few people have real healthy marriages. There's not a lot. Why? Because we haven't been taught the things of God. We don't choose our spouses correctly and all that stuff. And I know that it's so true. You can't deny it. That, you know what, you do your best to do what God's told you to do, and you'll have the best outcome possible. But I do know that sometimes when we're honest with ourselves, we just say, I can't respect him. I can't, because I've been so hurt. And so, or maybe from the guy, I can't love her because of this. Listen, there's still hope for your marriage, but you just can't go off of those general principles of maintenance. I would suggest everybody to go to counseling about your specific hurts, getting healed over those, so you're back to a starting point that you can actually do, and not just say I'm going to and you really don't, because, I won't say there's always hope, but there's usually hope. There's usually hope for having a better marriage, if that's what you want. There's only one requirement for marriage, only one for fixing marriages, and that's that both want to. Without that, even God can't fix a marriage. But if you have that, no matter what you've been through, if both want to have a better marriage and work on it, fix it, it will succeed. Okay, that had nothing to do with the message, but
Still the topic.
yeah, that love and respect. I love how you said, I know from being a man, and I know that how important respect is to me. I've thought of this often with my own relationship, that if my wife had, now listen, you're going to think this is crazy. If my wife had an affair on me, it wouldn't hurt as bad as if she treats me like a child. I mean that.
I would agree.
Yeah. Now, a woman would never
Most
understand
guys
that.
would fall into that camp.
Yeah. If you treat me like a child, you can't hurt me. If you have an affair, I can forgive that, get over that, I can move on. I would ask, why did you? And we'll move on. But you reverse those two, and this is just evidence of love and respect. Why did God say for wives to respect their husbands and wives? Because God He's the owner's manual, man.
Weird.
Hey, He knows what we need.
Imagine that.
And you know what? Wives need more often, not every 100%, but generally speaking,
Yep.
treating your wife like a child versus having an affair. An affair on a woman would be the end of it.
Crusher.
Yeah. But that same thing for women to understand. If I treat my husband like a child, if I talk to him like a child, it's just as devastating as if he had an affair on me. And it's hard for us to view how important it is to the other person unless we listen to what God says. Because for some reason, what if God actually knows what He's talking about?
You can also go buy the book Love and Respect,
Yeah.
which he goes into that.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. Would love if you would write us a check to be a sponsor, but he goes into all that sorts of in way more detail. We have time to talk about here, time in the message sort of thing, about what it looks like to love your wife and why it's so crucial and why it's like air to her and why she just literally can't, basically function the way she's designed without, and same thing for husbands. So
Yeah.
it's a great book.
Yep.
Great book.
Great message. Great series. Are we good? You guys have said your piece?
What if you just do it?
What if?
What if?
What if you just buy the book? What if you just apply the series to your life?
Yep.
What if?
You have
What if? Now hear me
lots
out.
of sex with the person you're married to.
Yes. And hear me out. What if God is actually correct in what He has instructed us to do?
It's crazy.
It is a crazy thought, but it might just benefit us. So go back.
There you go.
Watch that message. It's called Marriage Maintenance. We'll be back next week with another recap. Like, subscribe, comment. See you next week.